All right, in this video, we're going to chat about a neuron. Now, chapter 2 of this textbook is one of the most difficult in the book, so just be prepared for that. But it's also one of the most interesting, in my opinion. It's helping us learn how, our body communicates. Basically, the structure of the neuron and neurons fire and don't fire, and that's how they communicate. And it's just so interesting. That's how everything happens in our body is just through the communication of neurons. So it's pretty cool. So let's chat about a neuron. We'll talk about the different parts. We have the cell body. Well, first of all, the neuron can also be called a nerve cell or just a cell. So if you hear those words, they're all synonymous. So here's the cell body of the neuron. It's the cell's life support center. And then attached to that are the dendrites, these little branches here. And the dendrites are just fibers that receive messages from other cells. So, there may be a cell, a neuron over here that's sending a message, and then these dendrites of this cell would receive that message. Once the message is received, then it travels down the axon. That's this part right here. And the axon just passes the message away from the cell body and then down to these terminal branches, which form junctions with other cells and can pass that message along. The axon can also carry that message, not just to other neurons, but also to other muscles or glands in our body. This part that is covering the axon is called the myelin sheath, and that is just something that kind of helps speed the neural impulse or the action potential along that axon. It helps the message get sent. So the neural impulse or action potential or message is what travels along the axon. So that's just an electrical signal that travels down the axon. So the dendrite receives messages, passes it along through the axon, and then to the terminal branches that connect with other cells and can pass the message along to those cells as well. All right, let's kind of review here a little bit. This whole thing is a neuron, or it could also be called a nerve cell or just a cell. Neurons are the building blocks of the nervous system. They're the elementary components of our nervous system. And our nervous system is the body's speedy electrochemical system. So neurons receive signals from branching dendrites. These are the dendrites. And those signals or messages, are sent through the axon. Some axons are encased in this myelin sheath, and that just helps speed up that message or that signal, the action potential, It's going down the axon. And then that message is released through these terminal branches of the axon. So we'll also talk about what's needed for a neuron to fire. So this is in your slides, it's actually, let's go here. So if a combined signal received by a neuron exceeds a minimum threshold, the neuron fires. If you hear that lingo, the neuron firing, that just means it's having an action potential. So if the signal received reaches or exceeds the minimum threshold, the neuron fires, transmitting an electrical impulse down its axon through a chemistry to electricity process. And then the neuron's reaction is all or none. It doesn't have a little action potential or a weak action potential or a strong action potential. It just has a action potential or it doesn't. We'll talk more about that in another video. So hopefully that helps a little bit. We'll also talk about this threshold too in another video. Okay? Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have questions.